This is Professor V, and we are going to talk about difference quotient today. The difference quotient is just a formula that we use with different equations and functions, and we end up taking this further in pre-calculus and in calculus, but it is very deep rooted in algebra, okay? So the difference quotient is just this guy right here. You have f of x plus h minus f of x all over h, okay? Remember that the f in these cases, those are just names of the function. So whether we are using a function f of x, like we are in this mild example, or we are using g of x or h of it, doesn't matter. What matters is we are going to use that function and find the x plus h of it, the x, and then put it all over h. Okay, I do this in 3 steps. So we're going to take a look at this mild example. We are going to use the difference quotient for f of x equals 2x minus 4. Okay, so we are going to, like I said, take this in steps. Step 1 is going to be finding f of x plus h. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to do f of x plus h, and then we are going to do negative f of x, and then we're going to put it all over h. Okay, you're going to see what happens there. So zooming in just a little bit here. First thing that we're going to do is find f of x plus h. Remember, we've done some evaluating, so anytime we see an x, we're going to replace it with the x plus h. I have a video on evaluating if you're still a little confused on that. So that means that I'm going to start off with 2. That's from right here. And then I see an x, so I'm going to replace that x with x plus h. And then minus 4. So the 2 and the minus 4 stayed the same. The x transformed into x plus h. And we're going to clean this up. So I am going to distribute the 2 to the x and the h, what's in parentheses. Remember, when you distribute, you are multiplying. So that ends up being 2x plus 2h. Okay, and then the minus 4, nothing happened with that, so we're going to leave it alone. All right. So I'm going to put a little star next to this. That is step 1. We found f of x plus h. Okay, now we're going to move on to step 2. Step 2, I told you, come back up here. Step 2 is negative f of x. Okay, so we are going to put a negative sign in front of whatever our f of x is. And what that really means is we're just going to distribute a negative 1, you can draw it there if it helps you see it, over the function 2x minus 4. Okay, so I'm going to distribute my negative 1 to 2x, negative 1 to minus 4. So negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x, and a negative 1 times negative 4 is a positive 4. Okay, and I'm going to put a little star there. That is the end of step 2. All right, so we are on to our last step. And what we are going to do is, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write it right here. This is my step 3. We are going to put step 1 and step 2 right next door to each other. You don't have to do anything with the signs. You're just going to line them up right as they are. So I'm going to do step 1. That is 2x plus 2h minus 4. And then step 2, negative 2x plus 4. Okay, so just as a reminder, this guy right here, this was your step 1. And then we put right next door to it, we put step 2. Okay, then I'm going to put all of that over h. All right. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to clean up as much as I can. you should notice if you did all of your algebra in step 1 and step 2 correctly, anything that does not have an h in it should go away. And I'll explain what that means. But if it has an h, it'll stay. If it does not have an h, it'll go away. Watch this. So I have a 2x here. There's no h in that. And then watch. If I go a little further down, I have a negative 2x. Well, 2x minus 2x is 0, so they cancel each other out. They go away. All right. The next term is a 2h. I told you those will stay. But the next one, I have a negative 4 and a positive 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0, so those also cancel out and go away. All right. So now let's kind of rewrite what we have. We have a 2h over h. All right, and we're going to simplify one more time. H over h is 1, so that makes those go away. So this just simply equals 2. All right, so that is how you do the difference quotient. You've got step 1, finding your f of x plus h. Step 2 is finding the negative f of x. So we are splitting up the numerator of that difference quotient. There's your difference quotient again. If we are splitting up this numerator into 2 pieces, and then the third piece is cleaning up everything we can in the numerator and then putting it all over h and cleaning up again. Okay, so there's your mild example, real simple. The only thing that makes these problems spicier is when you add more algebra to it, like this example right here. Okay, so now we have the example g of x equals 2x squared minus 7x plus 1. Okay, and again, if I write out my difference quotient is f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Even though these are f, that's just the name of the function. We could just as easily scratch that out and put g for this specific example of g of x. Again, that's just the name, nothing big there, okay? So if we go with our step 1 is finding, and I will keep it as g just for this, we're going to find g of x plus h. Everywhere we see an x, we're going to put x plus h. There's an x squared in our g function here, and there's an x function right here. So we're going to put x plus h in both of those. So I end up with 2 times x plus h quantity squared minus 7 times x plus h plus 1. All right, so just over here so you can see a little bit better. I replaced all of my x's with x plus h, so I have this x plus h squared, and then this x plus h here. Okay, so now we're going to clean stuff up. So the first thing I have to do is square this x plus h. Whatever you do, do not distribute this square. Do not break my math teacher's heart by saying that this guy equals x squared plus h squared. No, 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 no. Remember, and I've shown you this, I've got a video on this as well, when you are multiplying these binomials, you've got very specific ones. So we are going to do, I'm going to keep the 2, but I'm going to multiply this, and remember there's a shortcut. I have x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. If you need to FOIL this, you are more than welcome to. All right, and I've got videos if you don't remember how to FOIL, but you're distributing because you're multiplying x plus h times x plus h. Okay, and then I'm going to say minus 7 times x plus h because I'm just doing one step at a time plus 1. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute my 2 to my parentheses. So I'm going to do all my distribution. All right. I end up with 2 times x squared, that's 2x squared. 2 times 2xh, that's plus 4xh. and I have 2 times h squared plus 2h squared. Okay, if you end up doing difference quotient a bunch, you end up seeing this guy more often than you would like to. So it would be a good idea to memorize him. Okay, since I'm distributing, I'm going to go ahead and distribute this -7 as well. -7 to the x and -7 to the h. I end up with -7x minus 7h, and then the plus 1 gets to come along for the ride because there was nothing distributed. Okay. And last but not least, I'm going to look and see if there are any like terms that I can collect. That's x squared, xh, h, x, h, and 1. Nothing I can combine there. Ugh, that's long. I promise this gets uglier before it gets cleaner, but it'll clean up. So I'm going to put a star next to that. Okay, so that's the end of my step 1. So now I'm going to go, here's my step 2. Remember, that means we have step 2 is our negative. And since I started with a g of x, I'm going to keep that. So we're going to do negative g of x. That just means, remember, you are going to distribute a -1 throughout your entire function. The function in this case was 2x squared minus 7x plus 1. Okay, so distributing my -1, it's going to go to each term. I am going to end up with negative 2x squared plus 7x minus 1. Okay, and that is my step 2. All right, guys, so we have our step 1 and step 2. Remember, now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we are going to do our step 3. So step 3 means we're going to put step 1 and step 2 next to each other. So that means I'm going to do 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared minus 7x minus 7h plus 1. Okay, and then I'm also going to copy my step 2. That's going to be negative 2x squared plus 7x minus 1. Told you it gets really ugly, but then it gets easier. And we're going to put all of that over h. Okay. So if you remember from the mild example, I told you anything without an h should cancel out. So I have 2x squared here, and I have a negative 2x squared here. Those become 0, so they cancel. I have a 4xh that has an h in it. I'm going to leave it alone. I have a 2h squared that has an h in it. I'm going to leave it alone. But I have a negative 7x and then a 7x. So those also become 0, cancel out. I have a negative 7h that has an h in it. I'm going to leave it alone. But then I have a positive 1 and a negative 1, so those also cancel out. So what am I left with? I am left with 4xh plus 2h squared minus 7h all over h. Okay, we can clean up one more time. There is an h in common with every one of our terms, all right? If it's a little hard to see all as one fraction, you can break this apart to be 4xh over h plus 2h squared over h minus 7h over h. I broke apart each piece of my numerator to its own fraction. Okay, they all have the same denominator, so I could push them right back together again. But look what that does. Now I have h over h. That cancels to be a 1, so that leaves us with 4x. I have h squared over h, so if we get rid of the 1 on the bottom and we'd only get rid of 1 on the top, so that means we're left with plus 2h. And then we have h over h again. Remember, that's 1. So we'd just be left with the minus 7. That right there is our ending difference quotient. Okay, so a lot of times these will get uglier before they get prettier. But if you follow each one of those steps, find the x plus h, find the negative function, push it all together and then put it over H, your pieces will start canceling each other out, okay? If you want to see another example of this or a specific example, leave a comment, let me know. Like the video, subscribe, help me out, and I'll see you guys next time in class. Bye.